Good morning, yogis. My name is Daniel. This is Daniel Lee Yoga. Thank you for joining me for practice today. And this morning we have a nice, fun class inspired by the recent full moon last week and some water and some waterfalls I was able to visit over this past weekend. So I'm really excited to get into it. I want to thank you all for joining. We have a 60-minute Vinyasa based flow class. It will be all levels. I'll have my boy Oliver here. We also have Coney that will be by as well. Luckily, their claws haven't grown back quite yet, but they always like to be around to practice with us. So as far as it being off levels, I'll provide many modifications along the way. So whether you're more advanced or if you're a beginner to class, you'll definitely find some sequences, some poses, some movement that work for you today. As far as props, if you do have a block, so I'm actually using a water bottle, but if you do have a block or a heavy book or something substantial that can hold some of your weight, I would keep that nearby. That might come in handy later in class. So if you do have that, you can just keep that nearby, place it up towards the top of your mat for now. Otherwise, I think we are ready to get started. So again, thank you for joining me. My name is Daniel. Let's go ahead and get started on our backs. So meet me on your back and have your knees bent, arms down to the sides. With your knees bent, just have your feet placed on the floor. Start with your arms down by your sides. Just take a nice deep inhale and exhale. One more inhale and exhale. Now from here, bring your knees to touch and separate your feet out wide, coming into this constructive rest pose. Beginning practice here, just allowing our low backs to release as we connect to our breathing. So in class, we'll definitely have a lot of movement as we move through our sequences, our vinyasas, our different poses. So for now, as we get started with practice, let's take the time to connect to our breath. So place one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. And from here, let's start to observe our breathing, beginning with how it physically moves our body. Noticing how when you inhale, your belly and chest rises, your palms rise. And as you exhale, belly, chest, collarbones all sink down, hands follow. And by bringing our awareness to our breath, it reminds us that in practice, when we're in challenging poses, when we have difficult times balancing, if you can reconnect with your breath, take a moment to breathe, many times that can help to stabilize, to strengthen the pose, or just give you the confidence to continue moving through your practice. So now start to notice the difference between the lengths of your inhale and your exhale. Again, no control over the breath, just allowing you to breathe naturally, observing how your inhales may be a little bit longer or shorter than your exhales. Both ways are completely fine. This is your breath. And now see if you can notice how the breath flows in and out through your body. Perhaps it flows in through the nose, out through the mouth, or maybe it enters and exits through the same way. Just observing and appreciating that this is breath for you. This is your natural rhythm, your pace. So let's take 2 more slow, deep inhales and exhales. On your last exhale, if your eyes are closed, you can gently blink your eyes open. Extend your arms down to the side. Let your knees and your feet come back to hips with distance. And with your feet still planted on the mat, let's draw the right knee into your chest. So keep your left foot down, raise your right foot off, draw the right knee in. Starting with some gentle knee circles, so left palm to left hip, right palm to right knee. Start moving that knee, entire leg in one direction, making circles. Just allowing ourselves to start to open up our hips here. And beginning to slow, let's move in the opposite direction. Just warming things up for our midweek Wednesday morning practice. And begin to slow. Let's drop that right foot down, switch to the other side, right palm, right hip, left palm, left knee, and move in your first direction. Try to keep both sit bones, both hips rooted as you move. Begin to slow, let's move in the opposite direction. And slow it down. Let's draw both knees into the chest. Wrap your hands either around your shins or your thighs. Give a gentle squeeze. Keep your shoulders in the back of the head on the mat and gently start to rock side to side, massaging that low back here. All right, coming back to center. Now wrap your hands around your right shin. Let's extend that left leg straight out. Let's move right into hovering. So if you can, hover that left heel off the mat. Otherwise, you can release the left heel down to the mat. Whichever way you're choosing, you're flexing both toes so they draw back towards your face. Spin the inner left thigh in and down to keep the knee and the toes facing up towards the sky. Let's draw this right knee in a little bit closer as you extend out through that left heel, holding for one more breath. And exhale, let's switch. Draw the left knee in, extend and straighten the right leg straight out. Option to hover the heel an inch or two off the mat or release to the ground. But you're flexing both toes, spinning the inner right thigh in and down. Keep the knee and the toes facing up towards the sky. Keeping the back of the head and the shoulder on the mat. Try to draw that left knee in a little bit closer as you extend out through the right heel. Holding for one more breath here. And exhale, draw both knees into your chest. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale. Now let's re-extend that left leg straight out. This time release the left heel to the mat. Extend the arms out to a T shape, palms face up, and bring the right knee over your right hip, right shin parallel to the mat. Flex the toes. So you're looking for a 90-degree angle here. Just adding a gentle twist here. So we're not holding, we're moving. So inhale as you prepare. Exhale, drop the right knee over the left leg. Keep your right shoulder rooted. Inhale back up to center. Exhale, drop it to the left. 2 more times, just like that. Inhale to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale to center. And exhale to the left. Just inviting some gentle twisting movement. Inhale as you bring your knee back up over your hip. Draw both knees into your chest. Wrap your hands around your shins. Let's switch to the other side. So this time extend the right leg straight out. Release the right heel down. You're still flexing both toes. Extend the arms back out to a T shape. Raise this left knee over the left hip. Shin is parallel to the mat. Draw that navel down. Take a nice inhale to prepare. Exhale, left knee drops to the right. Keep that left shoulder rooted. Inhaling, coming back to center. Hi, Coney. Exhale, drop to the right. 2 more times. Inhale back to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Last time. Let's inhale back to center. Drawing both knees in. Moving now into a seated position. So you can cross your legs, tuck your chin, hold behind your thighs, roll up and down your spine a couple times if you'd like. Coming into a cross-legged seat that way. Or you can just let your knees fall off to the side, pressing yourself up, coming to a nice cross-legged seat. In your cross-legged seat, have your ankles underneath your knees. Sit bones are rooted. If you feel like you're falling back, you can always sit up on a block or a prop, roll up your mat just to give you a little bit of elevation. Let's keep warming up the shoulders here. So arms down to the sides. And on your inhale, raise the arms up overhead. Exhale, arms out and down. 3 more times. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, out and down. 2 more times. Inhale, raised overhead. Exhale, out and down. 1 more time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, out and down. Keep going. Let's add a twist. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, turn to the right. Twist and release both arms down. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, twist opposite side, left side. Inhale, back to center. 1 more time each side. Exhale, twist to your right. Release the arms down. Inhale, back to center. And exhale, twist to the left. Inhaling back to center. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the side. Let's switch whichever shin is in front. Come back to your cross-legged seat. And we'll add a side bend here. So begin by bringing both arms overhead, palms face each other. Soften the shoulders down, draw the navel in and up. Release the left fingertips to the mat. Inhale as you extend the right fingertips up to the sky. Exhale, side bend left side. As you side bend, you can start to walk this left arm out. Try to keep the shoulders facing forward and that right sit bone rooted down onto the mat. Bicep next to ear, take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, raise yourself back up, both arms overhead. Drop the right fingertips down this time. Take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, side bend right side this time. Keeping the bicep next to ear, you can walk these right fingertips out. Maybe you bring your palm to the mat. Just try to keep your shoulders squared forward, not really adding a twist here. And keep that left sit bone rooted. So if you feel like it's popping up, try to re-root it down. Holding here just for 1 more breath. And inhale, come back up to center, both arms overhead. And exhale, hands down through center, down to the sides. Let's just do a little bit of wrist work. So connecting the fingers together. Bring the base of the wrist to touch and elbows close together. Start by just moving your wrists in a figure 8, infinity symbol way, starting in one direction. Just giving our wrists a little bit of love this morning. And slow it down, opposite direction. All right, begin to slow that. Separate your fingers. Remember which thumb is on top. And then re-intersect your fingers, opposite thumb on top. So if you don't remember, it's probably the way that feels the most awkward to you. Bring the wrists to touch, elbows in together. And again, start making your wrist rotations here again. A lot of times this alternate grip can feel definitely weird. It's the least habitual grip. That's okay. We're about balancing things out here. All right, begin to slow. Let's move in the opposite direction. All right, and gently release the fingers, release the arms, coming forward into tabletop. You can come forward over your knees, or you can send your legs off to the side. We'll all meet in our tabletop. Wrists below the shoulders, knees below the hips, tops of the feet to the mat. Fingers are nice and spread, wrist creases parallel to the front edge of your mat, or maybe slightly turned out. Drawing the navel in and up, firming the outer arms in so the elbow creases start to face forward. Drawing the tailbone back as the crown of the head draws forward. We have a gentle press of the shins and the tops of the feet into the mat. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Now remember where your wrists are, and we'll drop the elbows right where the wrists are, coming into forearm tabletop. So forearms are still parallel, palms to the mat, elbows underneath the shoulders. Knees are still underneath the hips. We'll add our cow cats here. So on your inhale, navel drops, tailbone lifts, heart comes forward, cow pose. Exhale, rounding the back, shoulders separate, head hangs heavy, cat pose. Keep moving on your breath 3 or 4 more times. Nice and slowly. Use this as an opportunity to connect your breath to your movement. Notice how this forearm cow-cat might feel a little different from the traditional tabletop cat-cow. It's just another way if you want to give your wrists a little bit of a break, want to have a different sensation. This is what can work for you. All right, one more each way. And once you finish your last cat pose, come back to a nice neutral spine. Look where your elbows are. Place your wrists where your elbows are, coming back up into tabletop. And turning just to face you for our next posture here. So from here, we'll extend our right leg out to the side. So to extend straight out, try to bring the entire bottom of the foot onto the mat with the toes facing forward. Now start to walk your hands in, lifting your torso up, placing your hands on your hips. If you already feel like this is too much pressure on your knee, just roll up your mat, add another layer, and then replace your knee back down to give you a little extra cushion. You can also place a blanket if you have something else soft. Now, with your hands at your hips, try to draw your tailbone down, lift those frontal hip points up. Adding a side bend here. So right arm down the right leg, just fingertips to the shin or the thigh. Left arm up to the sky, palm faces in. Take a nice deep inhale to prepare. Exhale, side bend over that right leg. Keep the bicep next to the ear. Again, shoulders are still squared forward. You have the option here to turn the neck to look up at those fingertips. Let's hold for 2 deep breaths here. One more breath as you draw the kneecap up into the hip. And exhale. Let's bring both arms up overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hands down through center, and gently release the hands back down in front of you. Come back to your tabletop. Bring the right knee back under the right hip, top of the foot to the mat. We'll switch to the other side. So now left leg extends out. Try to bring the bottom of the foot down, toes face forward. Starting to walk your hands back, bring them up to your hip. Trying to stack relatively the hip over the knee, shoulder, all in one line. With the toes facing forward, let's inhale as we bring both arms overhead. Exhale, drop the left fingertips down, left leg, nice and light there. Inhale, raise those right fingertips to the sky. And exhale, side bend over the left side, keeping the bicep next to the ear, neck nice and long. You're still drawing that tailbone down, trying to lift out of the hips here. Maybe you turn your neck to look up towards those fingertips, holding for 2 slow, deep breaths here. Really creating length in both sides of the body here. One more breath. Let's inhale as we bring both arms overhead. Exhale, hands down through center and down in front of you. Bring that left leg back in underneath, back into our tabletop. And from our tabletop, step your right leg back, curl the toes under. Step your left leg back, curl the toes under. plank pose here. Holding plank pose for 4 breaths. You always have the option to drop down to your knees in plank pose. Either way, shoulders over wrists, firming those outer upper arms in, elbow creases facing forward. Pressing the heels back, drawing the tailbone down, crown of the head draws forward for 1 more breath. And now we'll lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Holding your down dog for just 2 breaths here. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale. 1 more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Let's inhale as we gaze forward, bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. At the top, feet hips width distance, stay in your forward fold. Let's clasp opposite elbows, ragdoll pose. Head hangs heavy in between both biceps. Crown of the head draws down to the floor. You can bend your knees as much as you'd like, resting your chest on your thighs. And if you're one that likes to sway side to side, you can add a little movement here. Just keep your feet nice and rooted onto the mat. Okay, switch whichever forearm you have on top, reclasping opposite elbows. Just let the weight of your head and your arms lengthen your spine here. All right, if you're moving, come back to center. Let's release both arms down, coming up to standing nice and slow. So press down through your feet, spin the inner thighs in and back, and start to roll up your spine 1 vertebrae at a time. Taking your time here. Chin is the last thing to rise. And once you've come to a nice standing position, let's inhale as we bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Make sure your feet are still hips width distance, heels behind those center toes nice and parallel. With your hands at your hips, draw your tailbone down, lift those frontal hip points up. Extend the arms down, palms face forward, soften the shoulders away from the ears. Press down through the feet. Inhale, let's bring the arms up overhead. So we're holding here. So palms face each other. Try to keep the biceps next to the ears. Adding a side bend here. So take your right hand, wrap the index and thumb finger around the left wrist. Really press down through the feet. Take an inhale to extend those left fingertips to the sky. And exhale, side bend to the right. So the arm that's wrapped around, we're side bending to that side. So I have my right fingertips wrapped around my left wrist, side bend to the right side here. Really pressing down through both feet. We want to make sure we're still extending through this inside edge of our ribs. So really try to expand, lengthen through each rib as you can. Shoulders still squared forward. And again, option if you'd like, turn your neck to look up at those fingertips. Holding for 1 more breath. Rest down through the feet. Inhale, lift back up to center. Keep both arms overhead. We'll switch this time, so with the palms facing each other. Now you take your left hand, wrap the index finger and thumb around the right wrist. Take an inhale as you extend the right fingertips to the sky, lengthen the spine. Exhale, keep that late side bend, left side, opposite side this time. Really press down through both feet. Extend through especially these internal rib tips here. Keeping the shoulders squared forward. Same option if you'd like to turn your neck to look up at those fingertips. Just holding for 1 more breath here. Press down through the feet. Inhale, lift back up to center. And release the hands down through center and down to the sides. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale. All right, beginning to add some more movement now. You're still at the top of your mat, feet hips width distance. Inhale, bring the arms up overhead. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Back up to standing. Press down through the feet. Inhale, lift the arms out and up overhead. And exhale, hands down through center, down to the sides. 1 more time. Inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Back up to standing. Press down through the feet. Inhale, raise the arms out and up. And exhale, hands down through center, down to the sides, adding on. Inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale, forward fold. This time stay low, plant your palms, keep your left foot forward, step your right leg back. Drop your right knee down, press down through the feet. Inhale, lift the torso up, arms up overhead, holding just for a breath here. And exhale, spiral both arms forward and down with the right toes curled under. Lift that right knee up. Send the left foot to meet the back foot. Drop your knees down, vinyasa through. So we'll shift forward, bend the elbows, lower all the way to the mat. Bring the tops of the feet to the mat. Press your feet down, hips down. Inhale, lift up, baby cobra. Send the heart forward, tailbone back. On your exhale, gently release. Keep the knees down, curl the toes under. Press up through knees down, plank pose. Lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Let's stay here for 3 or 4 breaths. If you'd like, you can pedal out your legs now in your down dog. Maybe you lift one leg and lift the other. You can always drop down to your knees if down dog's too much for you, and you can pedal out your legs here. Another option. Knowing that if you need a break, you can always come into child's pose, resting your hips on your heels. Okay, let's all meet in down dog in stillness, pressing your heels back and down. Let's inhale as we gaze forward, bend the knees. Exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Inhale, lifting halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Plant your hands down. This time, keep your right foot forward. Step your left foot back. Drop your left knee down. Press down through the feet. Inhale, raise the torso up, arms up overhead, holding just for a breath. And exhale, spiral both arms forward and down. Curl the toes under. Lift the left knee up. Send the right foot to meet the back foot. Drop your knees down. Shift forward. Lower all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet down. Press your hips down. Inhale, lift up, back bend. Draw the elbows in, ankles in, heart forward. Exhale, gently release. Curl the toes, keep the knees down, press up, the knees down, plank pose. Lift up and back, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here in your down dog. Make sure your arms are shoulder width distance, feet are hips width distance. Firming those outer upper arms in, pressing the chest back towards the thighs. Let that head hang nice and heavy. Holding for 1 more breath here. Now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Back up to stand. Press down through your feet. Inhale, lift the arms out and up overhead. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Well done. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale. Now, moving into a wide-legged stance. So you can face the long edge side of your mat. Separate your feet nice and wide. Just like when we were in mountain pose with our feet close together, feet nice and parallel, we're just separating them out. So make sure the heels are still behind those center toes. Place your hands at your hips, take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, moving into our warrior 2, starting with our left leg. Let's externally rotate so those left toes face forward. Slight internally rotate of the back leg. Look for your heel to arch alignment. Bend the left knee over that left ankle. Square the shoulders to the long edge side. Extend the arms out nice and long, palms face down. And then turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. Holding our warrior 2 here for 3 to 4 breaths. Really press down through that left heel. Press back to the outer edge of that right foot. Firm this front thigh in and under. Really soften the shoulders away from the ears. Fingertips extend out from each other. Hold for 1 more breath. Place your hands back to your hips. Extend and straighten that front leg. And parallel your feet back to where we started. All right, warrior 2, other side. So starting with the right leg. Let's externally rotate so those right toes face the back edge side of your mat. Slight internal rotation of this left leg. Look for that heel to arch alignment. Bend the right knee over the right ankle, shoulder square to the long edge side of your mat. Extend the arms out nice and long, palms face down. Turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. Again, really press down through that front heel. Press back to the outer edge of that left foot. Firm this front thigh in and under. Really soften the shoulders away from the ears. Gazes out over those right fingertips. Let's hold here for one more breath. Release the hands back down to the hips, straighten that front leg. Re-parallel your feet. Stay in your wide-legged stance here. Now starting with your hands at your hips, we're adding a forward fold. So make sure your feet are nice and parallel. You're still drawing the tailbone down. So inhale as you add a slight back bend, heart to the sky. Exhale, keep the length in your spine, bend and forward fold at the hips. As you lower your torso about halfway parallel to the mat, you can stay here, or if you'd like, you can release your hands underneath you. Palms or fingertips to the block or to a mat. Fingers face forward, arms or shoulder width distance apart. Start to shift weight into the toes and release your head down, chin slightly tucks, top crown of the head draws down towards the mat. If you'd like, you can walk your hands back towards the lining up your wrists and your ankles. Just keep the fingers facing forward and bend your elbows back as you walk your hands back. Again, shift more weight into the toes, but keep the heels on the mat. Holding for 2 more breaths here. Try to firm the thighs in towards the midline, drawing the kneecaps in and up towards the hips. Let the crown of the head draw down towards the mat as the hips lift up towards the sky. Last breath here. Now we're staying low, but walk your hands out if they're underneath you. Everyone drop your arms so they're underneath your shoulder. So wrists underneath your shoulder, lifting up halfway. Now, if you need a block here, make sure you have your block to be nice and stable. Otherwise, fingertips or palm comes down underneath your face. So starting with the left hand. So left palm underneath your left face, so right in the center. And then bring your right hand to your right hip, adding a twist. So inhale as you lengthen through your spine. Exhale, twist and open up to the right. So right shoulder draws up to the sky, left ribs roll under. Keep drawing the legs in towards the center. Maybe the gaze comes up towards the sky. If you'd like, you can raise the right arm up. Try to rotate the palm to face forward. Holding for one more breath here in our twist. Exhale, gently release that right arm back down to center. And we'll switch. So right hand now in the center underneath your face, fingertips or palm to the mat or to a block. Placing your left hand to your left hip, take a nice deep inhale to prepare, nice long spine. Exhale, twist and open to the left. So left shoulder draws up to the sky, right ribs roll under. Option to lift the left arm up, fingertips to the sky, try to rotate the palm to face forward. Keep drawing those thighs in, holding for one more breath here. Exhale, gently release from your twist. Slight bend in the knees, lifting halfway, bring your hands to your hips. Press down through your feet and inhale as you lift back up into your wide-legged stance. All right, let's heel to those feet back into hips width distance. And let's come back to the top of your mat. All right, big toes touch, heels slightly separate, arms down to the sides. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Now, let's on your inhale, bring your arms up overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lifting halfway, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. So stay low, keep your left foot forward, step your right leg back. Now, from here, we'll drop the right heel down, moving into our warrior 2 footing here. Left arm to the inside of the left foot, right arm up to the sky, press down through your feet, lift up into your warrior 2. Settle in here for just a moment. Make sure that left knee tracks over the ankle from this front thigh in and under, adding our side angle. So keep the lower body just as it is. Send the left arm forward. When you can't go any farther forward, release the left arm to the inside of that left thigh, right arm to the sky. Rotating that right palm forward. Also have the option here, if you'd like, left fingertips can come to the inside or outside of that front foot, either to the mat or to a block. Same option with that top arm if you'd like. Bicep next to the ear with the palm facing down. Choose whatever version of your side angle Parsvakonasana that works for you. Holding for one more breath, keep pressing down through that front heel. Press down through the feet and just release both arms down to either side of that front foot. Come up on that back heel. Send the front foot to meet the back foot. Knees down or up as you shift forward. Bend the elbows, lower all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet down, hips down. Inhale, lift up, baby cobra. And exhale, gently release. Keep your knees down, curl the toes. Lift up, knees down, plank pose. And lift all the way up into your downward facing dog. Holding for 2 breaths here. Always have the option to skip your vinyasa and come right into down dog. One more breath here. Now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Big toes touch, heels separate. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Stay low, plant your palms. Keep your right foot forward. Step your left foot back again. And then drop your left heel down. Look for that heel to arch alignment. Bring your right arm to the inside of that right thigh. Left arm up to the sky. Press down through the feet. Inhale, lift up. Warrior 2 pose. Holding your warrior 2 here for a moment. Keep firming that outer thigh in and under. Adding our side angle. So keep the low body just as it is. Extend that right arm forward. When you can't go any farther forward, right arm releases to the inside. Left arm up to the sky. Really draw that left shoulder back. Roll the right ribs under. You can stay here or add your variations. Front arm can release to the inside or outside of that front foot, to the mat or to a block. And you can keep your left arm overhead or bring the bicep next to the ear nice and long with the palm facing down. Choose whatever variation works for you today, whatever calls out for you. Keep pressing back through the outer edge of that back heel. One more breath. And then gently release both arms down to either side of that right foot. Come up on that back heel. Send the right foot to meet your back foot. Vinyasa through. Knees down or up as you shift forward. Lower all the way. Tops of the feet to the mat. Press your feet down, hips down. Inhale, lift up, back bend. Exhale as you curl the toes under. Lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Stay for 3 breaths in your down dog. Keep firming those outer upper arms in. Heels draw back and down. Keep pressing your chest back towards your thighs. Hold for one more breath here. And exhale. Now let's inhale as we gaze forward. Bend your knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Feet hips width distance. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Press down through the feet. Inhale, arms out and up overhead. And exhale, hands down through center. Down to the sides. Take a couple deep breaths here. Beginning to warm up and work into our peak posture that we'll get into during this next sequence. All right, so before we move, if you have your prop, so ideally you have a block. I'm using a pretty substantial water bottle here, and I'm placing it up at the top of my mat. So place it up at the top to start if you have your prop. It'll come in handy in a moment. Now come back to the top of your mat if you're not already there. Big toes touch, heels separate, arms down to the side. Chair pose. So bend the knees, send the hips back, arms come forward, palms face each other. Make sure you send more weight into the heels. Gaze down, make sure you can see your toes. If not, send your hips back. Biceps next to the ears, if possible, palms face each other. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, release. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Hold here for just a breath. And now place your hands to the tops of your shins. Inhale, lift halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, forward fold. Plant both palms, step your right foot back, step your left foot back, plank pose. Vinyasa through your way. This time, if you'd like, knees down or up as you shift forward. Lower all the way or halfway down. If you're lowering halfway, bring the tops of the feet down. Inhale, lift up. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Curling the toes under, lifting the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now, from your down dog, Let's lift the right leg up and back to hip height. Flex the toes so they face down towards the mat. Now draw the right knee into your chest. Shift your torso forward, shoulders over wrists. Step the right foot up to the top of the mat. Take a couple steps if it doesn't make it there in the first try. Make sure the right foot's on the right side, left foot is on the left side of the mat. Press down through the feet and inhale, lift up. Torso up, arms up overhead. Try to keep that left knee raised. Right knee over the right ankle. If you feel you're a little unstable here, you can separate your legs out wider. Now from here, draw your right hip back and your left hip forward, holding for one more breath. Now release the hands down through center and release the hands to the hips. We'll drop this back heel down again. So drop the left heel down and heel toe these right toes back in towards the center. So we set up for a warrior two pose again, heel to arch alignment. Now square the shoulders to the long edge side of your mat and extend the arms out nice and wide, palms face down. From our warrior two, take your back leg, step it in about 1 foot, so a little bit closer, so a shortened warrior two. Make sure that prop is still up at the front of your mat. Now, shift your torso forward, lower your right hand, grab your prop. Moving into our balancing Ardha Chandrasana half moon. So take a nice deep inhale to prepare. Exhale, shift forward, lift up off the back leg. Prop comes to the ground to help balance here. So your right foot, right toes face forward. Right hand is on the prop. As you lift your leg up to hip height, flex the toes so they face away from your body. Left arm lifts up to the sky. Try to rotate the palm to face forward. Really firm that front thigh in, pressing down through that right heel. Holding for one more breath here in your half moon. And gently bend that front knee, release the left foot back, lift back up into your warrior two. And let's spiral both arms forward and down. Come up on that back heel, send the front foot to meet the back foot. Vinyasa your way, knees down or up as you shift forward. Lower all the way or halfway, tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale through baby cobra, upward facing dog. Keep drawing those ankles in. Curling the toes under, up and back, downward facing dog. Now, shifting to the other side. So lift the left leg up and back to hip height. Toes face down, take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, left knee draws into your chest as you shift forward, shoulders over wrists. Step the left foot up to the top of the mat. Make sure both toes are facing forward. Press down through your feet. Inhale as you lift your torso up, arms up overhead. Again, if you're a little unstable here, maybe separate your feet out a little bit wider. Keep drawing that left hip back, right hip forward. Press back through that back heel to straighten that back leg. Holding for one more breath. Now exhale as you drop your hands to the center. Release your hands to your hips. Drop that right heel down. Heel toe this front foot so you have heel to arch alignment. Square the shoulders to the long edge side of the mat. Arms out nice and wide, palms face down. Make sure you have that block out in front of you. Step your back foot in 1 foot. You know where we're going here. Keep the low body as it is. Shift forward. Lower the left hand to your prop. Make sure you can grab that. Now, press off through the back foot. Take an inhale. Exhale, lift up that back leg up to hip height if you can. Use your prop down to keep you balanced with your left arm. Right arm raises up. Really broaden through those collarbones. With the back foot, flex toes face away from your body. Press back through that right heel. And really firm that outer thigh in from that standing leg. Left toes face forward. Maybe rotate those right fingertips so the palm face forward. Hold for one more breath. Bend that front knee, gently lower the right foot back. Back into your warrior two. Spiral both arms forward and down. Come up on that back heel. Send the front foot to meet the back foot. Knees down or up, shift forward. Last vinyasa here. Tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale into your back bend. Shoulders over wrists. Curling the toes under. Lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. From here, let's shift forward, lower our knees to the mat. tops of the feet to the mat. Send our hips back to our heels. Lower your forehead to the mat. Balasana, child's pose. Allow yourself to reconnect to your breathing in your child's pose. And maybe even taking a moment to appreciate what you built so far today. No judgment, just observation and appreciation. Let's stay in our child's pose for 2 more deep breaths here. All right, with your arms extended long, lift your hips up, lift your forehead up. Let's send our legs out to the sides. Come to a seat and have your legs extended out in front of you. With your legs extended nice and long, let's flex both feet, draw them back towards your face. All right, starting with the right knee. Right knee draws into your chest. Bring the bottom of the right foot down to the mat. Opposite arm. So left arm extends forward and then turns so the thumb faces down, pinky is up. So the palm is facing away from you. Now left arm comes across your body and grab the outside of that right foot. Extend this right foot forward, pressing through the right heel. And keep flexing those left toes back toward your face. Now, if you want to add the twist, right arm up to the sky. And exhale, twist to your right, open that right arm back, palm faces away. Keep the arm up at shoulder height. Again, you could keep a slight bend in this lifted leg if that's more accessible for you. But keep drawing those left toes back toward your face. If you'd like, you can turn your neck to look over those right fingertips, holding for 1 more breath here. And exhale, turn back to center. Gently release your foot down, release your arms down to the sides, and re-extend your right leg to meet the left. You can shake your legs out a little bit before we move to the other side. All right, from here, let's draw the left knee into your chest. Opposite arm. Right arm extends forward, then turn the thumb down, pinky up. Right arm across your body, grab the outside of that left foot. Begin to extend the left leg, pressing out through the heel, lifting the leg. You can stay here if this is enough for you. Otherwise, to add your twist, inhale as you bring your left arm up. Exhale, add your twist. Left arm behind, palm faces away. Keep that arm up at shoulder height if you can. Keep flexing those right toes, spinning that inner right thigh in and down. Keep a nice long spine here. Always have the option to have a slight bend in that lifted leg. Just keep rolling that left shoulder back behind. An option to turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. Hold here for 1 more deep breath. And exhale, gently release as you turn back. Extend both legs nice and long. Use your hands to shift your hips up towards your heels. Bring the bottoms of your feet to the mat. Moving through a couple variations of our Navasana boat pose. So with your knees and your feet hips width distance, start with your hands wrapped under your thighs. Now keep a nice long spine. So root down through your sit bones, rise up through the crown of your head. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. First option here, with your toes flexed, bring the toes off the mat, keep the heels down. Now lift the heels off the mat an inch or two. See if you can find your balance. This is your first option to just stay right here. Next option, lift your shins up so they're parallel with the mat. Feet are still flexed. If you want to keep moving arm, release the arms, extend them forward, palm face up next to your shins. And final option, if you'd like, extend the legs straight, maybe point the toes. Whatever you're doing, make sure you have a nice long spine. So if you're moving forward and you're starting to rotate, starting to curl your spine, maybe back off 1 level. Wherever you are, try to imagine there's a string at the center of your chest and it's lifting you up towards the sky. Holding here for one more breath. And exhale, gently release the feet down, release the arms down by the sides. Shift your hips up closer to your heels. We'll roll onto our backs nice and slowly. So arms wrap around your shins or your thighs. Gently roll onto your spine, nice and slowly, and come onto your backs. Once you're on your back, bring your ankles underneath your knees. Knees and feet are hips width distance, setting up for 2 back bends here. Starting with the arms down to the sides, press your feet down into the mat. Take a nice deep inhale to prepare. Exhale, lift the hips up, pelvis up, chest up, bridge pose. Now keep pressing those feet down. Draw the tailbone towards the backs of the knees. And try to spin the inner thighs in and down. That keeps the knees over the ankles. Maybe you start to roll the triceps under, lifting your chest up a little bit higher. Holding for one more breath here. And exhale, gently release from the top of your spine, middle of the back, low back, last to arrive. Bring your knees together to touch, separate your feet out wide. Arms down to the side. Just take a couple breaths here to release. We have one more back bend. If wheel or Urdhva Dhanurasana is in your pose, you can move forward for that advanced posture. Otherwise, we'll repeat bridge pose and have the option to either a more relaxed version, place a prop underneath our sacrum, either a block or a blanket to support us, or we'll add our arms underneath to add a little bit more of a shoulder opener. So let's bring our knees and our feet back to hips width distance. Make sure your ankles are underneath your knees. Everyone start with your arms down to your sides. If you're moving up into your wheel or Urdhva Dhanurasana, go for it. Otherwise, take a nice deep inhale to prepare. Press down through the feet. Exhale, lift your hips up, pelvis up, chest up, bridge pose. If you're taking more of a supportive bridge pose here, this is where you can either slide your block, your blanket, or your prop underneath your sacrum, and just make sure you can gently lower and it can support you here. Otherwise, you can stay here, or we'll move to add the bind underneath our back. So begin to start to roll the shoulder blades under. Arms come underneath, clasp the fingertips, bring the wrist to touch, start to straighten the arms. Maybe roll the triceps under a little more, and try to draw the pinky side edge down towards the mat. Whatever back bend you are, keep drawing the tailbone towards the backs of the heels, spinning those inner thighs in and down. Keep the back of your head and the shoulders on the mat. Hold for one more breath. And exhale, gently release the arms if they're underneath. Release the shoulders. Lower from the top of your spine, nice and slowly, middle of the back. Low back, last to arrive. Let your knees touch. Separate your feet out to the width of the mat. And extend your arms out to a T shape, palms face up. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale. All right, gently let your knees rock from side to side. You keep your feet wide and just gently let your knees rock from side to side. They'll come back and touch as they come through center. Your hips can come up off the mat here with just allowing ourselves to loosen up that low back. All right, let's have everyone come back to center. Keep your arms nice and wide and then let your knees fall off to the right and we'll hold this time. So with your knees off to the right, you have a couple options here. You can place the right outer ankle on top of the left knee to add a little more of a stretch in that left thigh. And with your arms extended out, palms face up, you can turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. Additionally, if you have your prop, you can place that underneath your left or your right knee if that support helps you here. Just try to keep your left shoulder rooted wherever you are. Let's hold in this spinal twist for 3 slow, deep breaths. All right, gently turn your gaze back to center. Release the ankle from on top of the knee if you have it. Bring your knees back up to center. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, let the knees fall off to the left side this time. Same option as before, props can come underneath the knees. You can place the outer edge of that left ankle on the right knee. With your arms extended out to a T, palms face up, you can turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. Just try to keep your right shoulder rooted on the mat. Two more slow, deep breaths here. All right, gently bring your gaze back to center. Release the ankle from on top of the knee. Bring your knees back up to center. Knees and feet back to hips with distance. Let's draw the knees into our chest. Wrap your hands around your shins or your thighs. Draw those knees in. And let's lift the back of our head and our shoulders off the mat. Come into this egg shape. So we're trying to draw everything in together. Try to squeeze everything in. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And exhale, release. Extend the legs long, extend the arms long overhead. Let's stretch everything. Point the toes away from the body, extend the fingertips nice and long. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And exhale, release. Keep the legs long. Send the arms down by your sides, palms face up. Let the knees and the feet fall out to the side as you settle into your final pose of practice, your Shavasana pose. If you prefer any other variation, maybe you place some props or a blanket underneath your knees. You can come to Baddha Konasana, Supta Baddha Konasana with the bottoms of the feet touching and the knees out to the sides. Just choose what works best for you today, knowing that our Shavasana is a time to release. As you settle in, try to find any last little bits of tension that may be in your body. Letting your shoulders and your hips melt into the mat. Softening any muscles around your face and your jaw. Maybe letting your lips part, teeth separate. Always have the option to soften your gaze or close your eyes completely. And finally, release any control you have over your breath. Just be here. Now let's begin to bring some awareness back into your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. Switch directions in those rotations. And come back to stillness for one last breath here on your backs. And gently draw your knees into your chest as you roll over to one side of your body. Let your top arm rest on your bottom, top knee rest on your bottom knee, and stay for a breath here on your side. Now try to keep your eyes softened or your gaze closed as you use your top arm to press yourself up to a comfortable cross-legged seat to complete your practice today. In your cross-legged seat, you can rest your palms on tops of your knees. Palms can face up, or bring your hands into the center of your chest. Let's all take a nice deep inhale in together. Through the mouth, exhale. Thank you all for joining me for your practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me for your practice this morning. I hope you enjoyed all of the sights and the sounds here. I know I'm close to a road, so some of the cars and the motors may have come through. There's lots of different animals and birds out here too, so hopefully you got some of those sounds potentially. But I do really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate Ellen. I saw you check in, so always nice to see your name pop up, and just knowing that we're practicing together is just a great feeling. So whether you're watching in the morning or another time, I really appreciate you being here. Again, my name is Daniel. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. You can leave them in the chat. You can add a little comment to the video if you'd like. And there's also more ways to contact me in the video description as well. I'm just looking at your comments. Oh, Marlena, nice. You made it again this morning. Great. Great to see you again. So hopefully you guys got something nice out of class today. Take however you feel now into the rest of your practice. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Daniel. See you next time, and peace.